Parameters are similar to custom properties on Vision components, and they evaluate whenever the report's executed. When you create a new report, there are two parameters created by default, start date and end date. End date's just looking at the now expression, whereas start date's using now and date arithmetic. Note that you can delete or alter these if you'd like. So, for example, I'll go ahead and change this to a day ago. Take a look in the design panel. I have some text shapes set up with our parameters, as well as some text at the front, just so we know which value is which. If we check the preview panel, you'll see that the start date is 1 day before the end date. Now let's add a couple more parameters. Come back to data, click on the plus icon, add new parameter, call this int value, and we'll change the parameter type to long. Now you can type in any value you'd like for this. However, for the default expression, we'll go ahead and use this integer tag I have. When this report's executed, the value of the parameter will match whatever the value on the integer tag is. Let's add a couple more parameters. We'll click on the plus icon, type string value, and we can just give it a default value of my default. Now it's important to note you can also reference one parameter from another parameter. We'll go ahead and test that out. We'll do a little plus, click the plus icon, new parameter, we'll call this reference. Now, if you'll note, there's no little icon that allows you to add a parameter. However, we can type in the name of our parameter with an open curly brace and then the name of the parameter, string value in this case, or whatever the name of the parameter is. And that's really it. So when the report executes, the value of reference will be whatever the value of string value is. So we can concatenate some additional text here. So now the value of our parameter contains a reference to a different parameter in addition to a string value. Next, we need to add our parameters into our report. We'll come over to the key browser, we'll open up parameters, we'll find int value, drag and drop it onto our report. Now note when you do this, a new text shape is automatically created. This happens for any parameter whenever you drag and drop it onto the report. We'll add some text here. Let's make it a little bit easier to read. Now for reference, we already did that in the default value, so we don't need to do anything other than drop this on the window. Give it a little room here. Click on preview. You'll see that the int value is 1,000, so our tag's showing 1,000 right now. And then my default is the default value of the string parameter. Now there is one limitation in regard to parameters referencing other parameters. If you look at the data panel, you'll see that reference is below string value. Parameters can only ever reference other parameters that are listed above them. So for example, if we swapped places with these two, so now reference is above string value, we take a look at the preview mode, you'll notice our reference to string value is blank. So we'll go back to the data panel, we'll reorder our parameters, and let's take a look at this in the report viewer component. We click on this report viewer component already set up for us here. We scroll down in the property editor, you'll see all of our report parameters appear right down here. Now we can go ahead and update the value of these as we like, so 500, now our int value shows 500. However, we can also use tag or property bindings to update the values of our parameters. If we take a look on our tags folder, we have the string tag. We can just drag and drop that down to our string value parameter, and now we can type something into the string tag to update it. So another test, and you see it updates immediately. Additionally, we can use our property binding on the date range selector. We change the selected date range, the values on our parameters update.